Location. Whenever we talk about map study, the most important thing that we are trying to emphasize is location. That where a particular mountain or a lake or a river, a country, a continent is located. It can be anything. It can be at any scale. Like we talked about, Pacific Ocean East will be Americas. Pacific Ocean West will be Asia or Oceania. That is how we take the location as relative and absolute. Caspian and Baikal will be demarcated from each other in terms of their size, but they have got the superlative status when it comes to their characteristics of water. Why we have not mentioned Aral Sea? Do remember, Aral Sea by default was second prominent inland and was, I'm using past tense, Aral Sea was second largest saltwater lake in Asia after Caspian Sea, once upon a time. The swift closing down of Aral Sea that marked up its beginning from 1960s onwards have such shrinked this lake that what is visible on our atlases, I'm just getting onto the screen share, what is visible in our atlases and map is actually the original size of Aral Sea. So that can give us a misleading reference. Otherwise, it is not even counted among the top 50 lakes of the world today. It has lost more than 80% of its territorial stretch. Aral Sea is not among the big lakes of Asia today. It is not among the big lakes of world today. It has lost its geographical extension, and that is the reason don't be carried away by the size that we see on the map. River Yenisei, River Ob, Verkhoyansk, River Indrabrika, River Lena, Kamchatka Peninsula, Kananov Mountains, Lake Baikal, Caspian Sea, and carefully noticed. Spreading in Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, Aral Sea is drained with two rivers, Amu and Sirdarya, bounded by the continental interior. It's a drier climatic region where we are in. Remind yourself, Kazakhstan, and it's visible also here, Kazakhstan. Central Asian region is identified with 5 breakaway countries of former USSR. We are aware of it. Kazakhstan and Turkmenistan can be an optional countries for us in terms of maritime link. So when I take reference of Kazakhstan and Turkmenistan with Caspian Sea and Caspian Sea with Don Volga shipping canal, we have learned it. And now it is Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, where I have got this sea, salt water inland body that is called Aral Sea. Aral Sea started shrinking essentially due to unsustainable human practices, diverting the water of Sir and Amu Darya by former USSR for the irrigation purposes. The size which is visible, it looks so big. It is such a big lake. It is this big lake that we are talking about. And why I am calling it lake? Because it is inland and you can easily recognize the rivers which I have just named. But this is the original size of Aral Sea. It is less than 80% of its original size. So Aral Sea in Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan is not counted among the big lakes. And as I have reached Central Asia and I'm talking about the lakes of this continent, Balkhash, Lake of Kazakhstan, drying up. Because when I say this particular region, Central Asian region, it is largely correlated with what is called drier climatic conditions. Amu Darya, Sir Darya rivers, Lake Balkhash, and Aral Sea. Lake Balkhash is freshwater lake. Salinity levels are increasing, concentration of dissolved substances are increasing because of evaporational loss being more than precipitation dilution. That Amu Darya, Sir Darya plains, that is largely confined in 3 countries, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan. Aral Sea, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan. The plains that we have devoted to cultivation and thus have diverted the water of these 2 rivers and resulting into closing down of Aral Sea is called Turanian Plain, one of the elaborately cultivated areas in Central Asia, and it extends in 3 countries. So physiographic region or physical features on map of Asia, it has to be taken further. I'll easily pick up the way we have learned the political entities. So from Central Asia, we can easily go to West Asia. Caucasus Mountains, you are aware of it. And though I have just said that I'm talking about relief features of Southwest Asia, and I have written Caucasus, it should not be misleading to any one of us. Caucasus states are counted as a separate category. It is not included either in Central Asia or in Southwest Asia. Turkey, young fold mountain, and each of these young fold mountains are significant constituents. Pontic on the shoreline with the Black Sea, Taurus on the shoreline with the Mediterranean. Pontic and Taurus makes up the prominent young fold mountain in Turkey. Anatolia Plateau with no prize for guessing is Intermontane Plateau. Carefully see, I want to pick it up from here. It is with the eastern extension of Pontic Range, Tigris, Euphrates. Pontic Range eastern extension. So Euphrates rises from Turkey and drains in Iraq. Tigris rises from Iraq itself. Because I am taking up the reference of which type of mountains here? Young fold mountains. So Tigris and Euphrates combine and they have got their mouth in Persian Gulf. Basically, what is the importance of Tigris and Euphrates? This is the only perennial river system in West Asia. It is the biggest river system in West Asia. Tigris, Euphrates are identified to be the streams that correlates to Mesopotamian plain, and Mesopotamian plain are essentially belonging to Iraq. Taking the upper course of Euphrates and the upstreams of Tigris, which have got, you can see these streams that are being joining in to form Tigris, that takes me to Turkey. I do mark certain river valley extension in Turkey, but remember plains are identified with Iraq. So Tigris, Euphrates river, Mesopotamian plain, Pontic and Taurus. Because this extension, I want to go back to black color, this extension of Pontic mountains, the young fold mountain, is giving us the reference of source for this particular river system. So Tigris, Euphrates when I say Pontic. Apart from this, we can easily apply on. I'll use black color to write the name because black color will make you understand it, see it carefully. I have entered Iran, Lake Urmia, and in Turkey, Lake Van. Turkey lakes are called Golu. So you might be having certain school atlases where you'll find the name Van Golu. So Van Golu is nothing but lake. Golu means lake. And if you have picked up your NCERT, which is a must for your preparation for civil services examination, you must have come across the expression Lake Van has got highest salinity from among the lakes of the world. And the salinity level in Lake Van is 330 parts per thousand. So I don't need to insist that Van Golu is the saltwater lake in eastern Turkey, and Lake Urmia, it is one of the freshwater lakes in West Asia. Urmia belongs to Iran. And in the continuity Iran, I'll just want to take this. Carefully notice it and then I'll pick it. They have got several ranges as you can see with this color, and that is the reason I've used this map. So this is my Elbrus range and this is my Zagros ranges. We know that we can call it Zagros Cordilleras also. Elbrus and Zagros ranges marks the eastern continuation of Pontic and Taurus mountain. Just immediate north of Lake Van. I want to remove the name. This oval that I have created is considered to be Armenia Knot. Armenia Knot is basically the buckling part of Pontic, Elbrus, Taurus, Zagros as the continuation of range. It is called Knot. It's an upland. You can see the color. It is called Knot because it is buckling up the mountain ranges east and west of it. Elbrus and Zagros mountains are young fold mountains confined in Iran. And these young fold mountains are correlated with, again, very logical and defined feature, you all can recognize it. And name is very easy and it is nowhere difficult for us to remember it. Plateau of Iran. If the name of the plateau is Plateau of Iran, then I don't need to take efforts to remember that it is in Iran. Plateau of Iran is excellent example again of intermontane plateau. And mind it, that entire plateau of Iran is related to desert, all desert. Daste Kavir, Daste Luk. I don't think you need to remember all the names of the deserts, but it is all desert, drier area. And the reason for the being desert has to do with the climatic factor. If you can recall, with Australia also I said, I am located in tropical West. I have got part of Africa visible here, so I just want to begin from here. We got a reminder of it yesterday also. Western Rift Valley, Red Sea in Rift Valley, Gulf of Aden in Rift Valley. That means Arabia is parting away from Africa. Red Sea and Gulf of Aden, if is on Rift Valley, then I think it should come very clear that all the mountain visible here, whether it is in Saudi Arabia or it is in Yemen, slightly will be blocked. However, the mountain here, and you very well know which country we are, it's dominantly Oman. A part of it with UAE, I hope you are taking it. The mountain in Oman has to be old mountain. I am writing there Hijaz, and before I repeat this name, first you write it, then I'll add something more. In Western Saudi Arabia, yesterday I was emphasizing, Saudi Arabia has got its shoreline with both Red Sea and Persian Gulf. Persian Gulf is converging and Red Sea is diverging. Red Sea is Rift Valley and Proto-Atlantic was a Rift Valley. So Red Sea will have block mountains along its side. So east of Red Sea, that is west of Saudi Arabia, or northeast, northern part in the northeast of Horn of Africa, or southwest of Yemen. So it is a relative location you are taking it. Northeast from here, southwest here. So you have got Yemen. Yemen will have block mountain because Gulf of Aden, like Red Sea, is identified with diverging mountains. So Hijaz, Asir and Hadramawt are the young block mountains in the Arabian Peninsula. And I have used Rift Valley with Eastern and Western Rift Valley of Africa extending up to Red Sea. Yesterday also I emphasized it. I'm zooming it up here and I'm writing. This is Gulf of Aqaba. This is Gulf of Suez. 240 parts per thousand salinity. Lesser than Lake Van. Dead Sea is in the extension of Rift Valley. Repeating. In Southwest Asia, when I travel from Turkey towards east, I encounter four major young fold mountains. Four major young fold mountains, which are they? It is Pontic and Taurus in Turkey. It is Elbrus and Zagros in Iran. Two intermontane plateaus that are Anatolia in Turkey and Plateau of Iran in Iran. The physiographic connectivity between these four ranges, which seems to be quite distant or aloof from each other, is called Armenia Knot. And Armenia Knot actually is spreading in Caucasus state. You know Armenia is one of the Caucasus state. Maximum extension Armenia, and that is the reason it is called Armenia. Armenia Knot. What are the other physiographic features that we take? I must not conclude a Turkish mountain called Pontic without saying that it is the source of river Euphrates. You can see it's a linear river, and also the upper streams of river Tigris. Tigris and Euphrates relates to the development of the most extensive and fertile lowland, Mesopotamian plains. Mesopotamian plains, Iraq, have excellently taken us to Arabian Peninsula. And when I reach Arabian Peninsula, I can talk about dominant physiographic feature. Block mountains along Red Sea and Gulf of Aden. Old mountain along Gulf of Oman, Persian Gulf. This is Gulf of Oman. This is Persian Gulf, you are aware of. And along with it, we have got Rift Valley extension, north of Gulf of Aqaba that goes till Dead Sea. So we have learned this much. And what else we want to add to this? So I'll be removing the name Saudi Arabia written, and I just want to add one more thing to it. This is important and interesting one. Rub al Khali, the empty quarter of world. Rub al Khali is extensive desert that is identified in Saudi Arabia. Do marks up. It's a dominant desert in Arabian Peninsula, and it marks up its major extension in Saudi Arabia. Do have its extension in neighboring Yemen and Oman, and that is the reason I've written it like this. Rub al Khali. Khali. It's an empty quarter of the extension of Rift Valley, Block Mountains, Fold Mountains, Mesopotamian plain, the fertile lowlands. Rub al Khali, the empty quarter of the world. Empty of what? Empty of habitations. Empty quarter of the world, dominantly in Saudi Arabia, and in Pontic Taurus ranges, Tigris-Euphrates River, Van Golu, Urmia lakes are the important features that you can identify. And only thing that you should take into consideration, I mentioned that earlier also, when we were talking about Cyprus, Greece, Turkey and the challenges. Turkey do have got the claims and counterclaims on the exclusive economic zone in spite of having significant shoreline with Mediterranean Sea. It is not having that much of exclusive economic zone essentially because of the fragmented islands of Greece. It is all these shoreline of Turkey, all this shoreline with some fragmented island, is world famous for white. I've written white terrace over an island, name is Cyprus, which is divided into two constituent, and you have learned. Sufficiently done with West Asia. Do not want to close it down without mentioning. So I have to remove the things because I want to utilize the space logically. Or let me mark up the arc and write it up. So let me use a different. Bab el-Mandeb Strait, Red Sea, Gulf of Aden, Hormuz Strait, Persian Gulf and Gulf of Persian Gulf and Gulf. And one very important thing, you must notice it. I have sufficiently zoomed in and you are noticing that this island, extensive in the Horn of Africa, eastern tip, is Socotra Island that politically belongs to West Asia. But in West Asia, I also include Afghanistan. Why I have not talked about Afghanistan much? I have not talked about it because Afghanistan relief will by default take me to the South Asian region. I just want to add one thing because South Asia will take me to India. So I don't want to start with that. I want to conclude Asia on it and that will take me to India. So Elbrus Mountain is actually the western extension of Hindu Kush. And Hindu Kush Mountains, the young fold mountain, has got its political extension between Pakistan and Afghanistan also. So Afghanistan also have got young fold mountain, Hindu Kush. And Afghanistan, young fold mountain, Hindu Kush, has got its extension with Pakistan as well and will be taking up the reference of it. And the big river that you are noticing, I just want to change the color. Inland drainage, sourced by glacier, and the big river system, it's quite lengthy, you can easily see, identified in the political territory of Afghanistan, which is again considered to be a country that is known for its drier conditions altogether. Biggest river, we are not talking about South Asia as of. Moving to quickly East Asia, beginning from China, that is connectivity from Central to East Asia. So careful, I want to write the name again because I want you to see something very important. Let me zoom it. And this is my Tibetan Plateau, which is located between Kunlun Shan and Himalayas. Needless to emphasize, it is intermontane plateau. Tibetan Plateau, the intermontane plateau, is the highest plateau of the world. Tibetan Plateau, the highest plateau of the world, is identified to be third pole of the world. Third pole. Yesterday we talked about Verkhoyans, the cold pole of the world. Tibetan Plateau, the third pole of the world, is called so because of its height and its location onto the northern slope of Himalayas. It is largely non-sun bearing. extremely cold. Its elevation is 4,900 meters from the mean sea level. It supports more than 7,000 glaciers, and that is the reason you can see that it has got so many dotting lakes of variable size that is visible. But more important than lakes, please look at, and then I'll be enlarging Tibetan Plateau one more time. Please look at, and I want to slowly, steadily zoom out, and all the big rivers that I need to be aware of. So I pick it up from here and I am highlighting it quickly. I have picked it from here and I have highlighted it, not to miss out, not to miss out. Details will come up with India. Indus, Pangpo, Mekong, Tongking, also called Red River, Yangtze, also called Changjiang River, lengthiest river of China. Huanghe River, Huanghe is also the name of light. I hope you are noticing them. All are rising from Tibetan Plateau. Mekong is the lengthiest river of Southeast Asia. Yangtze is the lengthiest river of China. Huanghe is Yellow River of China. All these are sourced from Tibet. Sangpo, which is called Dihang in our country. Indus, that drains via India to Pakistan, is sourced from Tibetan Plateau. The third pole of the world, Tibetan Plateau, highest plateau of the world, intermontane plateau, in between Himalayas and Kunlun Shan, is identified to be the source of big river systems of South Asia, Southeast Asia, and East Asia. And I have proven that point. And if I have to just make sense with river, I'm already aware of the names of the rivers in China. The lengthiest river is Yangtze, also called Changjiang. The second prominent river is Huanghe. And third prominent river we can easily take, and our point of the reference of the study gets over. This river is called Xiang River, mega seaport on Trans-Pacific route, and Guangzhou is considered to be mini Shanghai. Zhejiang River, Changjiang River, Huanghe River are the prominent river systems in China, prominent, but they are not the only river systems in China. So what I do is I slightly zoom up the things here and I pick up this river, River Amur. River Amur draws international boundary between Russia and China, and Chinese territory that has got this international boundary is called Manchuria. River Amur. Prominent river systems in East Asia includes Amur River. Amur River is identified to be the river that draws international boundary between China and Russia. Huanghe or Huanghe River, the Yellow River of China. That is the reason its mouth is called Yellow Sea. You are aware of the names of marginal water bodies, so I don't want to insist on it, but notice that actually it is not Yellow Sea. Zooming it up here, remind yourself, this is Yellow Sea, Korea Peninsula, Korea Bay, this is Bohai. So actually Huanghe River has its mouth in Bohai Gulf, which is extension of Yellow Sea. That is Changjiang River, the lengthiest river of China, also called Yangtze River, and Zhejiang River, the southern river that is identified with Guangzhou, Canton, the second major commercial capital of China after Shanghai. If Tibetan Plateau is taken into account, these rivers becomes very dominant. I just want to complete up the river system, then I'll talk about the other physiographic features. So carefully notice it. Wrong way of writing. I want to write it completely. Let it be adjusted. Irrawaddy, Salween are rivers of Myanmar. Chao Phraya is river of Thailand. Mekong, the lengthiest river of Southeast Asia. It's very evidently visible. I have demarcated the entire course. Has its delta in Vietnam. So Vietnam has got two deltas, Tongking River Delta north and Mekong River Delta south. I'll come back to this map just in a minute. Vietnam, international boundary between Cambodia, Vietnam, Laos, Vietnam, and I have just demarcated Vietnam. Please see this river as well. Delta of Mekong River is in Vietnam. Vietnam has got two river systems, Tong King, which is also called Red River. I've insisted not to say Red River because Red River creates confusion with Red Basin. Going back to our map where we have demarcated all rivers. It is a Changjiang Basin that is called Red Basin, one of the most elaborately cultivated areas of the world. And here is Red River, which I wrote in that. So Tibetan Plateau. Tibetan Plateau is intermontane plateau that is also called third pole of the world. What is the reason we give it such recognition? It is called third pole of the world because of its glaciers, 7,000 recognizable glaciers, which makes it the source of big river systems of South, Southeast and East Asia. And careful, Kunlun Shan and Himalayas with Tibetan Plateau, roof of the world. Pamir North, just as Armenia North. So Pamir North you have Hindu Kush, Pamir North you have Kunlun Shan, Pamir North you have Himalayas. And what are in between, we'll be learning that one by. North of Pamir, Tian Shan, inland drainage, Tarim River, have developed Tarim Basin, Altai Mountain, Zungarian Basin. And actually speaking, I want to use this color. From Tarim Basin, Zungarian Basin, to the eastern parts, that is east of Tian Shan and south of Altai Mountain, all the area that I have shaded. And you must be noticing I'm shading low-lying areas. I'm avoiding the shades with the tall mountain area. Is all deserts, with most recognized Gobi Desert, where I have Gobi Desert correlates to south of Altai Mountains, east of Zungarian Basin. Tarim Basin is Taklamakan Desert. Gobi Desert is south of Altai Mountain. Zungarian Basin is also rainless quarter of the world. This part is called rainless quarter. Otherwise, we don't say deserts are rainless zone. We say deserts are the locations that are identified with evaporational loss more than precipitation. And if I just try to zoom it out, you are getting on the links that you have learned yesterday. Altai Mountains, Ob, tributary. This is River Ob, we marked that yesterday. You'll get that link already. Which type of mountain? Altai Mountain, Tian Shan Mountains are in northern China. And of course, when I say Altai Mountain, I'm increasing or I'm moving towards Mongolian territory. Old mountain. Absolutely the same as we have learned Verkhoyansk, Yablonno, like mountains. Old mountains. Zooming in. In East Asia, mainland, what are the dominant physiographic features for us to apply? In East Asia mainland, the dominant physiographic features includes Young Fold Mountain, and the Young Fold Mountains are Himalayas, Kunlun Shan, with intermontane highest plateau, Tibetan Plateau. The Pamir North, Pamirs are called roof of the world. It is not the highest plateau, it is recognized to be roof of the world, essentially because it is the buckling ground of the mightiest mountain range of the world. I'm talking about Himalayas. Average elevation of Himalayas is 6,000 meters. Is East Asian physiography done with it? No, they have dominant presence with the reference of Kunlun Shan, or they have got the dominant reference in terms of the Himalayas or Tibetan Plateau, the tallest plateau of the world. But when I say East Asia, the physiography by default includes Tarim Basin, Zungarian Basin, with the Taklamakan Desert, rainless quarter of the world, and Gobi Desert. And when I say that, what is demarcating these basins? And I want to ask a question after just giving you a quick reminder. What determines these basins? So these basins are determined or demarcated of their boundary by old fold mountains. Altai Mountain and Tian Shan are the two names that you should remember. And if it is that I am bounded between Tian Shan and Altai mountain and my name is Zungarian Basin, will I be correct in saying that Zungarian Basin will be example of intermontane basin? True, false is what I want you to quickly drop in, and then I'll come back to the screen. Pamir, north of Himalayas and Kunlun Shan. Let me be on this map, right here. Kunlun Shan, Himalayas, Pamir North, Tajikistan. Tian Shan, Tarim Basin, Altai Mountains, Zungarian Basin. You can easily see there is a clear difference of the color. Gobi Desert, Hindu Kush, Himalayas, Kunlun Shan, Tibetan Plateau. I do get support of names of the countries here, but then learning. See, I'm talking about see and understand the course of river Havango here. It seems mosaic, difficult. Otherwise, I can notice that we are actually talking about the territorial stretch. And see, do take up the reference. Altai Mountains is taking me to Mongolia. Gobi Desert is also correlated to Mongolia. But I find it difficult to trace up river Havango. It becomes easier on this map because it is a vacant type of a map and I am just highlighting the river system. So it becomes much more evident for me to learn. Which are the physiographic units that are identified with East Asia? Southeast Asia, we are almost done. Some minor names are left out that we can learn tomorrow. The important physiographic features that I see with East Asia are fold mountains. They include both old fold mountains and young fold mountains. And when I talk about these old fold and young fold mountains, I very strongly take into reference that both of them essentially correlates to what is identified as territorial stretches of intermontane plateau. Tibetan Plateau, Tarim Basin, Zungarian Basin as examples. Tibetan Plateau is cold desert. Tarim Basin is Taklamakan Desert. And rainless quarter goes with Zungarian Basin. River systems, Havango, Changjiang, Zhejiang. And just to complete China, Havango and Changjiang plains are called Great Chinese Plain. Northeast of it is Manchurian Plain that has got river Amur drawing international boundary between China and Russia. In the central part of China, I have got Shanxi Plateau, Sichuan Basin and Yunnan Plateau. And in western part of China, I have got Altai Mountains, Zungarian Basin, Tian Shan Mountain, Tarim Basin, Kunlun Shan, Tibetan Plateau, Himalaya, West Central. Whenever we talk about any river to be perennial, it's those rivers which do not dry up completely in any given part of the year. However, every river system, whether it is a big river, big river like Changjiang, Yangtze, we take them to be experiencing what is called water volume fluctuations. Because essentially, whenever we talk about what are the sources of water in any active channel, so the sources of water in the active channel are two. Number one, it is rainwater, and number two, it is melt ice water. And the question that has been asked in regards to Tigris and Euphrates, please remind yourself both these rivers of Mesopotamian plain is rising from Turkish young fold mountain. They are number one, glacial fed. Number two, Turkey is not desert. Turkey has got Mediterranean climate. And Mediterranean climate, no details right here, we don't require to. Mediterranean climate has winter rain. So for Tigris and Euphrates, you have got summer availability of water due to melt of ice, and winter you have got rain. That is the reason they are perennial, but don't take any perennial stream to be stream that has got consistent water level throughout the year. We are learning relief features in the continuity of how we have learned political entities. So we are aware of the fact that when we talk about Asia, we divided into 6+1 category. 6 I said Northern Asia, East Asia. We also talked about so North, East, Southeast, South, Southwest, Central, and Caucasus states. In the continuity, we have learned the physical features that can be identified with Northern Asia. It is absolutely, as per NCERT, best way to learn. So from Ob to Yenisei, you have got West Siberian Plain easily visible here. Yenisei to Lena, you have got Central Siberian Plateau. And Lena and East is Eastern Upland, where Verkhoyansk, the cold pole of the world. Kamchatka Peninsula that have got Mount Kulchev, Sakya. Kuril Island that have got Raikoke volcano. And that is the reason if you are possessing older print of NCERT, you will encounter one expression. Mount Kulchev Sakya is the only active volcano of Russia. It is proved to be wrong, incorrect now. Because after more than a century, Raikoke volcano have erupted and it is right there in Kuril Island. So I've got two active volcanoes in this country. Islands we learned while introducing us to the political map. So Hokkaido, Honshu, Shikoku, Kyushu and Ryukyu makes Japanese island. Japanese island demarcate Sea of Japan from Pacific Ocean. But it is Ryukyu Island of Japan that is demarcating East China Sea from Pacific Ocean. As I move south, I encounter Philippines. I have entered Southeast Asia. And Philippines, Southeast Asia, demarcates South China Sea from Pacific Ocean. And remember, it's very easily visible here. Let me slightly zoom in. Philippines West is South China Sea, Philippines East is Philippines Sea. This demarcation has to be followed very cautiously. Southeast Asia islands are not complete without Indonesia. Indonesia represents East Indies. It is geographically and demographically largest country in Southeast Asia. Southeast Asia mainland has got Indo-China Peninsula, Malaya Peninsula linked up with Isthmus of Kra. Latecomers are coming in. Isthmus of Kra is belonging to Thailand, you are aware of it. And when I take the account of mainland countries, Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, Thailand, Laos, the landlocked country you are aware of. So just carrying forward from the relief features that we talked about in the yesterday's class, if I just quickly share that map and then come back to this. River system we talked about, and because Tibetan Plateau, the highest plateau of the world, the Intermontane Plateau, the third pole of the world, having more than 7,000 glaciers and thus the source of big rivers, which is not just of South Asia, Indus, Sangpo, Southeast Asia, lengthiest river Mekong, also East Asia, lengthiest river of China, Changjiang, Yangtze. The physiographic feature of China, apart from including what is very prominently known, Altai Mountains that takes me to Mongolia also, Zungarian Basin, which is rainless quarter of the world, Tian Shan that forms the northern boundary of Tarim Basin. Both Zungarian Basin and Tarim Basin are also intermontane in their location. You can make sense with it. So I have got Manchurian Plain, I have got Great Chinese Plain, and added to it, I have got Shanxi Plateau, Sichuan Basin, and Yunnan Plateau. This much we have taken. I want to go back to the map where we have picked up the study. I'll be repeating West Asia just after. I can notice Irrawaddy and Salween rivers, and names are written here. If I just highlight it, this is my Salween river and this is my Irrawaddy. They do incorporate their sources from Tibet. Irrawaddy has got a tributary called Chindwin, which has got its tributaries coming from northeastern states of our country. And now careful, I'm using other color on purpose. Arakan-Yoma, writing it here. I need that space. I'm writing it here. Pegu-Yoma. Arakan-Yoma and Pegu-Yoma are young fold mountains in Myanmar. They are the extension beyond syntaxical bends of Himalayas. And that syntaxical bends are best learned here. Carefully see, and I'm getting you slightly zooming it out. Carefully see this. I'm using red color for the mountains for the time being. So this is Greater Himalayas. Have got hairpin bend on the either side. So if I take that hairpin bend on west, so I have got young fold mountains, Suleiman. Remind yourself, from Pamir North, right here, north of India, Tajikistan, you have got Hindu Kush, which marks its extension as Elbrus. Suleiman is marking its extension as Zagros. And that is where we talked about Armenia Knot. And then we moved further west and said Pontic and Taurus ranges. Recalling? So when we talk, and why this knot, if there is the gap, so you are aware of it, that we have got Kunlun Shan here. So Himalayas, Kunlun Shan, and then plateau Tibet. So that syntaxical bends that we are talking about, if the term is difficult, it stands for hairpin bend, sharp bend. It is Arakan Yoma and Pegu Yoma, dissected by river Irrawaddy, very easily visible. Arakan and Pegu Yoma is dissected by Irrawaddy river. Otherwise, development was as one river. And it is these ranges, syntaxical bend, cautious of what I'm saying, continues to extend as this. And if I slightly zoom in, our Andaman Nicobar Islands came into the newspaper yesterday because of the Andamanese tribe with COVID effect, because they are already having depleting population and it is a grave cause of concern for Indian authorities. Okay, if I take Andaman and Nicobar Islands, how will I justify it? Carefully see what I'm doing. Andaman and Nicobar Islands are peaks of submerged young fold peaks of submerged young fold mountain. How they got submerged? Because there was rise in mean sea level to the tune of some 200 meters after the termination of last. And I've told you this already, Andaman Nicobar Island means Bay of Bengal. Take up relative location. Bay of Bengal is west of Andaman Nicobar Island, east of mainland of India. And Andaman Nicobar Islands are located in between Bay of Bengal and Andaman Sea. Will I be correct in saying that Andaman Sea is a marginal water body of Indian Ocean? However, Java Sea is marginal water body of Pacific. Yes, all of us. Southeast Asia has got physiographic unit 1, Arakan Yoma, Pegu Yoma of Myanmar, that are young fold mountains. And if I have to continue with the features of Southeast Asia, then I'll be taking up the reference of extensive range. It includes Vietnam, part of Cambodia, Laos, Annam Range, young fold mountain. Indochina Peninsula is dominantly Mekong Plains, you are aware of it. Mekong and Chao Phraya. And north of it, that is extension of Yunnan Plateau, covering up northern Thailand. Let me change the color. Northern Thailand, Vietnam, Laos, Indochina Peninsula. I'll be readjusting the names. Indochina Peninsula is comprised of Korat Plateau, Annam Range, and plains, featureless lowlands. These featureless lowlands are developed by default, Mekong Delta is what we are talking about. We have learned its course. What we should not miss out is Chao Phraya River. Chao Phraya River of Thailand. Moving on to the islands. In islands, we have got all the chain of young fold mountains. And these young fold mountains have got the most prominent example. Sumatra, the biggest island, Barisan. I'm just giving you two names for you to remember. And in Borneo, see, it is extensive in Indonesian, Malaysian, and part of Brunei. And Mount Kinabalu. Mount Kinabalu, like Mount Everest, is still rising. So it is tectonically active. And it forms the part of, writing the name here, Shehbanar Range. Barisan Range and Shehbanar Range are the young fold mountains in Indonesia. Arakan Yoma, Pegu Yoma in Myanmar. Annam Range, it is in some of the school atlases, it is written as Annamite Range, so don't be worried about it. Annam Range or Annam Mountains in Vietnam, also Laos. So Laos is physiographically what? It's an upland. Laos is not just landlocked, Laos is upland, doesn't have plain. And Laos is incorporating two features. One is Annam Mountain, two is Korat Plateau. India purposefully not talked about. Andaman Nicobar was a logical thing for us to take, so we have picked it up. If I take that syntaxical bent again, I have already entered Pakistan, and in Pakistan we are having Suleiman Range. And no need to emphasize that Nepal and Bhutan are essentially landlocked mountainous countries of South Asia, and which mountain we are talking about with them? It is Himalayas. Pakistan do not relate to Himalayas, rather the syntaxical belt and southern extension Suleiman Range. It also involves, I'm purposefully not taking rivers into reference, just want to see the name, because we have to learn that with the reference of Indian context. So this river system that you are noticing with its mouth in Arabian Sea is Indus. And we have got Potwar Plateau. Recall Helmand River we learned for Afghanistan. The Potwar Plateau, Suleiman Range, and Indus River. Indus River we are purposefully not talking about much in detail. West Asia, I've already given you reminder. If Pamirs are the knot, Armenia is also the knot. Armenia knot marks up the buckling up of Cautius, Elbrus, Pontic, Zagros, Taurus, Caucasus. Akhdar Mountains of Oman is young fold. Hijaz, Asir, Tiamah are young block mountains. I told you this, Socotra is politically Yemen. Lake Baikal, Lake Balkhash are very different from each other, and I hope you are noticing them. And 7 continents except India, part of South Asia, we know it, but we have purposefully not enlarged it. 7 continents of the world, their physiographic feature, we are now at a better stand. I'm presuming, I hope I'm correct, we are at a better stand of now comprehending the relief, lakes, rivers, political entities that goes with the countries. Any other important features like Rift Valley or island, or we have got the different categories that are related to age, young and old and etc. Before I take you to the study of map of India, a quick reference of oceans of the world and then map. Pacific Ocean, the largest ocean of the world, and many of you are still having difficulty in specifying the location in terms of what is called relative locations of the places. So be very cautious with it. You don't need to remember all of them, but some of them are very important and must not be missed. Largest ocean of the world, Pacific Ocean, is bounded on its east by North America and South America, and on its west, Asia, Oceania. This ocean is continuously closing down, and closure is because of the continuous subduction of oceanic plate underneath the continental plate. And what are the important features that must not be missed when you are taking up the learning of this ocean? So cautious, careful. I'll now not be writing Trench. It continues. Japanese Trench, Philippines Trench. In Philippines Sea, deepest trench of the world. Hotspot, Hawaiian Island. If Mariana Trench is deepest, Peru-Chile Trench is lengthy. And I think you are recognizing all the boundary lines, continents, as well as countries. Where I have marked Tonga Kermadec Trench, immediate south is northern island of New Zealand. The dominant most feature that is related to the largest ocean of the world, Pacific, are trenches. And then you are aware of it, and if I slightly zoom in, you can easily make sense with most of the names. Only some names I have not talked about. I'm just giving you time to copy it down, then I quickly take you to the next. We have already learned it with the continent. It's not that we are not aware of this. We were not. Whenever 2 crustal plates converge with each other, heavier of them subduces underneath. It subduces underneath the warmer interiors of the earth, and the denser crust is always oceanic crust. So let us believe that this is continental crust, which is converging with, this is my oceanic crust. Oceanic crust is made up of denser substances. NCERT information is basaltic crust. Continental crust in comparison is granitic crust. This convergence results into heavier getting in warmer interiors of the earth. This process is called subduction. This subduction tends to create a deep hollow. It is the deep area that you develop in the interiors, in the ocean floor, and that is called trench. Every subduction zone is trench. Pacific Ocean has got all such subduction zones. And if I continue, because in this darker color map, the only thing that will be evident is yellow color, so I'm utilizing it. There will be subduction. Consistent, absolute destruction of existing crust. That is the reason Pacific Ocean, the largest ocean of the world, is essentially known for what? Trenches. It is predominantly known for trenches. And just a reminder, otherwise we are aware of all the names, we have taken them into our study, but one by one taking up the reference of them. You are aware of this is Bering Sea. You are aware of this is Sea of Oko. This is Sea of Japan. This is Bohai Gulf. This is Yellow Sea. Yes, all of us. And then with Taiwan and Ryukyu Island, I have got East China Sea. Philippines, South China Sea. East of Philippines, Philippines Sea. South of Borneo, Java Sea. You have got Celebes Island, Celebes Sea. This is Gulf of Carpentaria, Australia. This is Tasman Sea between New Zealand and Australia. This is Bass Strait between Australia and Tasmania. I can mention Gulf of Alaska. I can mention Gulf of California, and I can mention, we talked about Panama Canal as the dominant marginal water bodies. I should not miss it out, space is less, but let me adjust it. Rewriting this name, shading it up actually so that it is clear. I occupied the space of other water body. This water body is Gulf of Carpentaria, and this water body is Coral Sea of Coast, Kurile Island, Sea of Japan, Japanese Island, East China Sea, Ryukyu Island, South China Sea, Philippines. Second largest ocean of the world, Atlantic Ocean. Atlantic Ocean on its east is bounded by Europe and Africa, and on its west bounded by North and South America. And I have been repeating this example to make you understand relative location. I am nowhere wrong in saying African western shoreline is Atlantic Ocean. And I am again not wrong in saying that Atlantic Ocean's eastern shoreline is with Africa. Want to begin with the marginal waters, and then I'll be quickly removing it. And right here, be very cautious of the demarcation. Hudson Bay, Baffin Bay, Labrador Sea, Norwegian Sea. Most of the names have come up into us, are not marginal water bodies of Atlantic Ocean. And I'm repeating, Baffin Bay, Labrador, Hudson Bay and Norwegian are marginal water bodies of, I'll take you to this ocean also, Arctic. It is because there is the submarine boundary that is being demarcated for that, and this submarine boundary has to be learned like this. So let me remove this black R. I'll be using black color to write the name. If it is just what is evident, if I ask you to, you must be aware of it. If I ask you to take up the reference of Atlantic Ocean and compare it up with Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean is known for mid-Atlantic ridge. And please remind yourself, if I am taking Eastern Cordillera, Central Cordillera, Western Cordillera, Oriental, Occidental and Central, and I continue to take Bolivian Intermontane Plateau and move south, and I say that Andean Cordilleras are the lengthiest mountain range of the world. Please have a comparison. Andean Cordilleras are lengthiest mountain range. You think about mid-Atlantic ridge, very easily evident in front of us. Is it not that it is much lengthier than Andean Cordilleras? Mid-Atlantic ridge is the lengthiest. Very important expression. Submarine, mountain. The term mountain is wrong for ocean. Submarine is important. And it goes simply like this. We have learned it. I'm just trying to depict it with a very simple sketch diagram. When oceanic crust diverges, it facilitates rise of magma from warmer interiors, which tends to cool and solidify and develop what is called oceanic ridges. Remind yourself that once upon a time, South America and Africa were attached. Their detachment was the reason that we had Serra de Mantiqueira, Serra de Tumucumacu, Serra d'Omar, like old block mountains in South America. This parting away have resulted into development of Atlantic Ocean, which is now continue to part away, so that this parting away is still on, and that is the reason we have created. So if Pacific Ocean is known for trenches, Atlantic Ocean is known for ridges, and the names of the ridges and their dependent questions do comes up in your map based questions. Dolphin, Challenger, this is Challenger, Galvez, ridges, Rio Grande, Rise, Socotia Trench, Caribbean Trench. Do remind yourself, I'm using purposefully green color. Approximate. Socotia Trench is not in Atlantic Ocean. It will be in Southern Ocean. And the boundary line that I see between Atlantic and Arctic Ocean, Waverly-Thompson Ridge and Telegraphic Plateau, they are also ridges. What makes them significant for us to apply separately? I'll rewrite them. What makes them significant is that they form the boundary line between Atlantic and Arctic Ocean. That is the reason Norwegian Sea is Arctic Ocean. And I'll write some water bodies. First, you quickly copy it. What are the features that dominates Atlantic Ocean? Ridges. What is the feature that dominates Pacific Ocean? Trenches. Is Pacific Ocean not having construction? Hawaiian hotspot is the most prominent example. Is Atlantic Ocean not having trenches? Caribbean Trench is the example. Socotia will fall into Southern Ocean. What is the name of Mid-Atlantic Ridge? In Northern Hemisphere, it is called Dolphin, and in Southern Hemisphere, it is called Challenger. Waverly-Thompson and Telegraphic Plateau forms the boundary line between Arctic and Atlantic. And I want to emphasize on one more thing. I hope we have written the things there. I'm zooming it up and further zooming. You know that we are talking about, I have to make my pen very thin, I have substantially zoomed it up. Red color. Icelandic, let me write it here. Icelandic volcano are peaks of mid-Atlantic ridge. Iceland is getting ruptured because it is at the diverging. And the logic with which we take up the marginal water bodies comes up as this. I have to zoom it up. And I'm removing the names. I'm removing Waverly-Thompson. I'm just removing the names. I'm not removing the ridges because we need to see them. Now you are aware of the fact that Waverly-Thompson Ridge is drawing the boundary between Arctic and Atlantic Ocean. So Norwegian Sea becomes marginal water body of Arctic Ocean, but North Sea is marginal water body of Atlantic Ocean. And rest all the names you are aware of. Bay of Biscay, English Channel, Strait of Gibraltar, Mediterranean Sea, Tyrrhenian Sea, Adriatic Sea, Ionian Sea, Aegean Sea, Black Sea, Sea of Azov, marginal water bodies of Atlantic. This side also we are aware of. Hudson Bay goes Arctic Ocean, but Gulf of St. Lawrence, Gulf of Mexico, Caribbean Sea, Gulf of Venezuela, Rio de la Plata are marginal water bodies of Atlantic Ocean. We have already learned that. And why should I miss out on this? Let me know. You all are aware of Gulf of Guinea, Upper Guinea, Lower Guinea. This is how we learned Africa. Dominantly Atlantic Ocean, the second largest ocean of the world, is known for its ridges. Absolutely unlike Pacific Ocean, which is predominantly known for its trenches. But it is absolutely wrong for me to say that Atlantic Ocean don't have trenches or Pacific Ocean don't have ridges, but that is secondary. Prominent is trenches there. Trenches is subduction zone, and ridges here. Ridges is construction. When you are spreading, you are creating new. The third largest ocean of the world, Indian Ocean. Because it is bounded by land on three sides. Or the other way point with which you can identify the characteristics is that you are aware of some of the names, so you can take up the account of the factor that if I demarcate out equator, so I have got equator passing from Kenya, Somalia, so I'm going very rough but still drawing equator. Maldives, northern part of Indian Ocean is not open ocean, it is Arabian Sea, Bay of Bengal. It is marginal water, absolutely unlike what you have seen with the Pacific and Atlantic. Northern Atlantic, Southern Atlantic, it's an open water. Northern Pacific, Southern Pacific, it's an open water. Indian Ocean is half ocean of the world because it doesn't have open ocean in north. North is marginal water. Before I remove this line, marginal waters you all are aware of. Persian Gulf, Strait of Hormuz, Gulf of Oman, Suez Gulf, Aqaba Gulf, Red Sea, Bab el-Mandeb Strait, Gulf of Aden, Arabian Sea, Bay of Bengal, Andaman Sea. You are aware of all of them. And if I go with marginal water bodies, because we have started talking about marginal water bodies first. So I have got Mozambique Channel in South Indian Ocean. And this part is called Timor Sea. Timor Sea is marginal water body of Indian Ocean along shoreline of Australia. West Australia is Indian Ocean. East Australia is Pacific Ocean. I'm coming up with a question, don't disappoint me. True, false, TNF. And my question, West Australia is Indian Ocean, Eastern Indian Ocean. This is not my question, I'm repeating. West Australia is East Indian Ocean. East Australia is West Pacific Ocean. This is true. I don't want you to answer it. And if I have to just cross this diagram, then I can go this way in the part of Southern Ocean. Otherwise, I'll remain in the Indian Ocean territory. Cautious now. Chagos, Seychelles, Mauritius is given in our map. Carlsberg. Because the extension south that is called St. Paul Plateau will actually take me to Southern Ocean, so I can ignore it all. What is Indian Ocean characterized with? It's a mixed bag. It is both like Atlantic and Pacific. So we have first attempted Atlantic-like feature, so that is like Atlantic Ocean, Indian Ocean also have got the central ridge, and this ridge is called, names are written in front of you, Chagos St. Paul Ridge, with Carlsberg and Seychelles, that is Mauritius Seychelles Ridge. Mauritius and Seychelles are located on the ridge of Indian, and it is with this that we demarcate out the basins into two parts, Eastern and Western Indian. It is with Chagos Ridge that you have British Indian Ocean territory. Maldives and Lakshadweep of India is on Chagos Ridge. Socotra of Yemen is on Carlsberg Ridge extension. So like Atlantic Ocean, I do have got submarine ridges here. And like Pacific Ocean, I have got one of the lengthiest submarine trench called Sunda Trench. Very frequently we are encountered with Indonesia, and I quoted example of the Indonesian volcanic activity. Indonesia experiencing earthquake, volcanism with such swiftness because it is at converging destructive bound. Barisan Mountain, which we learned just few minutes back, is Young Fold Mountain. And here you have got converging destructive bound. So in Indian Ocean, if I have to take reference of ridges, I'll say it is a Chagos, it is St. Paul, it is Carlsberg, it is Mauritius, Seychelles ridges as the major ones. And because it is almost central, so we are dividing Indian Ocean into two parts, Eastern and Western. Marginal water bodies I have already talked. And I want to quickly close down the class on this, because Antarctica we have learned, we should be aware of Arctic Ocean also, and without that our study somewhere Because when I say Antarctica, I'm aware of what is referred as Southern Ocean. But if it is Arctic Ocean is, now try to recognize the location carefully, and I don't think it is much difficult. You all can do so. You have covered that much of the map study. I'll just make my marker slightly thicker. Can we recall this is Bering Strait? And thus this is Bering Sea. That means I have entered Pacific Ocean on my north right now because I'm taking a north polar view. This is my sea of a coast. Yes, all of us. Sea of a coast will take me to, if I take this step from here. So you have got the Wrangel Island. Wrangel Island gives you Chukchi Sea. We are not aware of it. East Siberian Sea, New Siberian Island, Laptev Sea. I hope you are recalling it. Severia Zemalia, Kara Sea, White Sea, Norwegian Sea. Just few minutes back we have learned it. Iceland is crossed. Denmark Strait is here. This is Denmark. Know that Greenland politically belongs to Denmark. And then Greenland I go. We are aware of all the names. Baffin Bay, Labrador Sea, Hudson Bay. I hope you have visualized the Arctic Ocean is prominently known for, and I want to change the color, traversing via North Geographical Pole. Remind yourself, North Magnetic Pole is at Bathurst Island, and we referred that with Antarctica. That South Geographical Pole is static, but South Magnetic Pole keeps on fluctuating because Earth's magnetic field has got what is called spinning like dynamo. This belt that I have created, which is traversing across North Geographical Pole, is Lomonosov. Lomonosov Ridge divides Arctic Ocean almost in two equal parts. Canadian Basin, Siberian Basin, which towards European side is also called Norwegian Basin, but otherwise you can see. And see this boundary line that we created. This is what? Waverly-Thompson Ridge. So Siberian Basin's extension right here, if I just make a dotted line and demarcate. If I'm saying that the Lomonov Ridge is demarcating Siberian and Canadian Basin, this extension by default can be called Norway here, Norwegian Basin. That is how it is. Canadian and Norwegian. The most important physical feature that is related to what Arctic Ocean. Arctic Ocean, the smallest ocean, North Polar. It has lost more than 90% of its ice cover. Is Lomonosov Ridge. It traverses via North Geographical Pole, dividing Arctic Ocean into two near equal parts. If you can see Norwegian Basin, it will look equal. Canadian, Siberian, and Norwegian. And rest of the marginal water bodies you were aware of. Laptev Sea, Kara Sea, White Sea, Bering Sea all came into our study.